Welcome to Real Talk, Indiana's premier talk show on real estate investing, where we talk each week about investing your money right here in Central Indiana. The tips, tricks, do's, and don'ts, brought to you by CIREIA, Central Indiana's oldest and largest real estate investing association. Hello there. My name is Vicki Perry, and I'm the Executive Director of CIREIA. We have over 600 members, all active in or learning how to be active in real estate here in the Indiana market. This radio show is available on FM 95.9, AM 950, podcast on YouTube, and www.cireia.org. Join us each week as we talk about how you can make your money more active with better returns and help the community that you live in with real estate done the right way. Now, on with the show.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Real Talk, the only local real estate investing radio show where active investors discuss real estate investing done the right way every Saturday and Sunday from noon to 1 o'clock. I am Brian Snyder with Simple Wholesaling, and I'm filling in for Ron Watson today, president of the board of directors at CIREIA. It's March Madness time, so he's doing the Trader's Mill thing. That's where he's doing today. But we'll film for him. We'll do our best for him. We're going to be discussing some of the headlines that are affecting the real estate investing world. You can check out how to contact all of our co-hosts on our website at cireia.club and find out how to reference the materials that we're going to be talking about today. Joining me are the three of the top investors here in Central Indiana. We have Dave Short with Century 21 Sheets. Dave is an investor, realtor, coach, mentor, and one of the most sought-after rehabbers in Central Indiana. Welcome back, Dave.
Great to be here.
All right. We have Stacy Patlin, realtor, wholesaler, and flipper. Welcome, Stacy.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and Stacy, this is the first time that you've been on the show, so I want to just give you a little opportunity just to introduce yourself. Tell us about what you're doing with being a realtor and wholesaler and flipper.
So right now we're doing quite a bit of flipping. We have 4 projects going on. We're doing a little bit of wholesaling. We started off wholesaling and kind of ventured into the flipping world. But right now we're having a good time flipping. I think it's a good time to be doing it. I also think it's a good time to be wholesaling because there's so many flippers out there.
Definitely.
I'm an agent as well, so I do some retail listings as well. I do a little bit of everything in the realm.
A little bit of everything. I like it. So welcome to the show, Stacy. Happy to have you here. So, and we have Justin Bogard, notes professor and investor. Justin's been on the show with us before, but we are so happy to have him back. So, Justin, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for letting me be here again today. And I don't know about the notes professor, but I'd say note professional, maybe.
I know. You're a professor. Professor notes. I think that sounds good, man.
I'll take it. Let's roll with it.
What is, and just to give you kind of a little intro here too. What is note investing? What does that really mean?
Note investing is the mindset of becoming the bank. So what I tell people when I first introduce them to this subject is that, hey, I'm Justin Bogard. My company's Bright Path Notes. And I invest in notes, and they usually look at me kind of cross-eyed, like, what's this guy talking about?
That was Justin and I's first conversation.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, I believe it was. Yeah, that's exactly how you're looking at me now. Like, what is it still? And so I tell them, instead of buying the property, we buy the debt on the property to become the bank. And like, oh, okay. And I say it's like landlord-like income without the landlord headaches. You don't own the property, you just own the debt. And so they kind of get that conceptually. So what we do is we buy these notes, whether they're land contracts, contract for deeds, note and mortgages, deed of trust in any state across the country, and we just invest in that debt, and we work with banks and hedge funds and just private sellers.
So awesome. Well, happy to have you here today and just your insights as the professor of notes. I'm just going to start calling you that now. It's, awesome.
We should get the doctor in my title, right?
Doctor. Yeah, you have to work up to that. We'll give you professor.
Okay.
For
I went too far. Sorry.
So awesome. Well, we just want to talk about a couple of the news stories that are just happening here in Indianapolis right now. One of the stories I have here is the most expensive neighborhoods in every state. And if you're thinking, out there, you're kind of thinking, man, what would that be for Indianapolis? I'm sure the Carmel, maybe Fishers pops in your mind, but definitely Zionsville. Like Zionsville right away, I thought of that. And what are your guys' just thoughts on that? I don't know if you guys have done many projects in Zionsville or do you even just hang out in that area. Just what are your thoughts on just, man, what a great neighborhood that is. And you can definitely tell that they have just a high median home investing place there.
Well, all I can say, we bought our first flip in Zionsville, closed on it last week, and I'm so excited because we could never find anything in Zionsville.
Nice. Yeah.
And so we're kind of excited in what we might be able to do with the product because Zionsville's very pricey, but it has a cult-like following.
Yeah, definitely. I remember I moved out to Indianapolis just 5 years ago, and like my wife and I, we get to downtown Zionsville. I was like, man, this is a great neighborhood. I'd love to live down here. Like, let's look at no. She's like, no, we can't afford this just yet. So, yeah, but I know as a wholesaler, Stacy, maybe you're kind of in the same thing of like it would be amazing if you could ever like wholesale a deal over in Zionsville. It just doesn't come across our plates too often.
No, and I think if you did have something come across your plate, and it was in rehab condition, you might be able to make a nice spread on it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because people are really looking for those to flip.
Yeah, yeah. So one of our other little articles here that we can talk about is just the home ownership isn't a necessity for most millennials, according to this survey. So these are always the one that we usually refer to as Sterling and be like, hey, he's just a true millennial if you've heard the show before. But actually, Stacey, you're probably the closest to the millennial. Do you categorize yourself in that?
Yes, I do categorize myself as a millennial. I fall right into that bracket. So when people talk about millennials and put me in that stereotypical category, I kind of blow them out the water with where I'm at in my career. So they're like, oh, there's a millennial that works. I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
I know she's a millennial. We're doing a project together, and you should see this bathroom. Okay, it's millennial, and it looks great, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and what this article is really saying, that about 65% of millennials believe that just home ownership is a choice rather than a necessity. I think coming from, I'm a little bit outside, a little older than the millennial generation, but coming from our parents' generation of where that's what they wanted to work towards. That's what they always wanted to get. That was one of their goals, is be that home ownership, whether they had a mortgage on it or not and stuff. But it has changed, that mindset of, I know a lot of times, even just when I was in my 20s, I would just go from apartment to apartment, just moving to different areas around Columbus, Ohio, just because I wanted to experience different things. Justin, kind of what are your thoughts on maybe why you think maybe millennials are just like, that's their mindset of just like, I don't really need to own a home? And
yeah, I'm just above the millennial category here. So when I saw this article and I read it and I saw the numbers, I'm like, wow, 65% of millennials would prefer to rent as opposed to own homes, or whatever the numbers worked out. And it's just shocking to me, and it tells me a lot that our culture for that generation is just, they've got a backwards mindset on how to be financially savvy. So I feel like the systems that we have in place for our schooling are doing a disservice to our children by not kind of explain to them what you should be doing and how you should set yourself up financially. So, I mean, obviously, when you first get out on your own, renting is like the thing that you need to do, right? Mm-hmm. But to want to strive to be a homeowner is something that that generation really needs to focus on and look forward to. And I know student loan debt is a huge problem right now. But yeah, these numbers kind of astounded me. I wasn't thinking it was going to be more than 50%. That's for sure.
That's what I was kind of, as I was reading through it and stuff, I kind of looked at, like, I guess it makes sense to kind of see, if I look at the millennial kind of generation that I know, that a lot of them are on the two extremes of, one is, hey, I can rent, I don't really need to own a home, I can move around, be a nomad if I need to. But then I have the other side of that, where they've caught onto it and they're house hacking, where they'll go and buy a duplex and live on one side and rent out the other side. And I don't know, maybe Dave and Stacey, you guys can maybe speak to this, of just when you're, kind of working with that generation and talking about home ownership, is it working with that millennial generation, are they more of, they know specifically what they want, that they're looking for in a house, and they're willing to just rent and wait it out to find that house? Or
I mean, I can give, we've sold some stuff, quite a few houses in Fountain Square over the years, and what we're finding out, we had 3 projects in Fountain Square last year, and it just amazed me because they were not necessarily good decision makers, but when I thought about it, they probably were diligent decision makers, because all 3 of our projects sold 30 days after they went on the market to a millennial who had looked at it when it first come on the market. So they just basically decided after 30 days this was the best value on the market, so they came back. So they were more diligent decision makers.
Yeah.
And I think what I see with millennials, they're coming out of these downtown apartments to where they're paying $1,100 a month for 700 square feet. Mm-hmm. So they flip-flop and they can go into a Fountain Square. Like, we're going to put a Fountain Square project on next week. It's $250,000, but with minimum down payment, they're going to have a $1,400 a month house payment. So we're going to give them almost twice the square feet for what they're paying in rent.
Yeah. Stacey, do you have any thoughts on that? Have you?
Yeah, talking on do they know where they want to be? Millennials definitely follow trends. Obviously, with Broad Ripple, Fountain Square, you have college area. They know where they want to be, and they're so easy to work with when you're an agent for them because they've already done their research online. They've looked at all the pictures, and they've already eliminated the houses that they aren't going to like. Mm-hmm. So it is kind of easier, and they do know where they want to be. But yeah, I do think they do think about it enough. But some are a little bit more afraid to get into home ownership. I think they're less traditional. We've seen that throughout the years. It's kind of home ownerships. You're getting a little bit older when you start buying.
Yeah. That's what I think. It's always just a trend too of like they're willing to rent in a certain area just because they can walk to the coffee shop from there. They might not be able to afford a house there, but they want to go to that coffee shop or that place to eat or maybe that whole walkability. All the hot restaurants. That's what Dave always likes to talk about in there. that's the part of Dave doesn't. I don't think he gets that from our generation.
No, I
don't get the
foodie deal.
It's all about the foodies.
There you go. So we have another article here. It's just about making the right moves in every phase of the real estate market cycle. So just talking about, just the cycle with the market, understanding basically the 4 phases of that cycle. I'll just kind of read through these here. So we have phase 1 is just identifying an expansion market. Phase 2, identifying a market equilibrium. Phase 3, identifying the market in decline. That's what everybody's worried about right now. So, and then phase 4, identifying an absorption market. So as we're talking just about those just different things, let's just open this up just real quick and just talk about where do you guys see the market right now? I know that's I was in a mastermind last week and down in Florida, and I think just even for the last couple of months on this show, people have just been talking about around town, like, man, when is this market going to crash? When is it going to happen? And honestly, I don't see it happening this year. I mean, maybe a little bit of a correction with the market and stuff, but I just want to get your guys' feedback of where do you see the market right now? Because I know people are waiting for that crash, but I don't see it particularly.
Mm-mm.
Well, I look at the growth. I'll put an analogy with the growth with CIREIA. 3.5 years ago, CIREIA had around 70 or 80 members. Now we have over 800 members into our group. And having been a part of that group during the growth of it is, I look at, got to know Stacy real well, got to know Justin real well. These guys haven't seen a down market. They haven't seen 2. They haven't seen 3. They haven't seen phase 4. Mm-hmm. They've just been in the market, so they don't know what the differentiation to those kind of markets go. And I think a lot of people in CIREIA have not seen that. Yeah. But I think it's such fine line moves. This is a great article, by the way. But it's such fine line moves, but go from 1 to 2 doesn't really affect our market. At our sales meeting at Century 21 Sheets last week, they talk about it. Some of our younger agents think it's a down market because days on the market has went from 20 to 43 on an average listing.
What? We have to wait over a month?
I mean, get into a market when it goes from 20 to 180 days. Mm-hmm. That's a changing market.
Right.
And the stuff that's had over the 43 days on the market, I can tell you it's an aggressive seller with a condition issue for the house. Mm-hmm. For most of in the market areas that we kind of generate in.
Yeah, and this article, like Dave said, it's a great article, making the right moves in every phase of real estate, the real estate market cycle. It's by Jared Garfield on Think Realty. That came out March 22nd. So if you may want to check it out, you can get on Think Realty, which they have a ton of just awesome resources on there to check it out. So definitely just check out that website. But Stacey, I don't know, what are you thinking of just kind of what you've seen? Dave, kind of just called you out there a little bit, not in a bad way or anything, but the fact that you haven't seen that downturn or anything. I don't know how long you've been around, how long you've been doing this, and what are how's it different now from when you kind of started maybe?
So I started in 2014, where wholesaling was kind of a pitch on the radio. It wasn't really a career. It was kind of like this get rich quick scheme. So that's kind of where I started. And I think we have seen the bubble. I think we are going to have a correction. Mm-hmm. I don't see a crash anytime soon. I don't see major depreciation. I don't see investors getting stuck with flips anytime in the next year. So I think we're at a happy medium. I do kind of like when it's at 40 days on market, because then you have your sellers have time and then your buyers have time to make that conscious decision, like, do I want this house? And you have less contracts falling through of, I bought it quick and now I'm like, oh crap, I don't really like this house. We're doing this inspection, I really see everything. So I think we're at a happy medium.
Yeah. So, Justin, you have any insight on that? Or?
Yeah, I'm not in the trenches with real estate as my colleagues here at the table are, but from my perspective, from a notes perspective, I got into the business similar time frame that Stacy did, around 13, 14. I started out in real estate, fix and flipping, wholesaling, just ventured my way into notes, and so I got in at kind of the absorption period, where buying stuff cheap and you can hold on to it, or you can wait for appreciation and sell it, and that's where non-performing notes really got strong. I know, Dave, you've done some non-performing deals as well, and so it's interesting. The phases in the market are also neighborhood specific, I would say, as well, or even around our Indianapolis area, which is kind of fun to see. Some areas are blooming and blossoming and never got affected by the downturn in 08, 09, and 10. And some areas, are still kind of recovering, and some areas, you just stay away from. So
I know, from the wholesaling standpoint, I know, Brett Snodgrass, the owner of our company, Civil Wholesaling, like he got started in 08. So he got started when it was on, that thing. And he actually kind of thrived from that. And a lot of, some other wholesalers got started too. So I know wholesaling is something that, can, not necessarily, I don't want to say benefit, because that sounds like it sounds weird with that, but you can be of help when it comes to that. You can bring opportunity during that time to a lot of different people. But I just want to kind of Justin, you brought up a good point, and Dave, you might have some more insight on this too. When you're talking about notes, when everything happened in 08, and you had probably more non-performing notes, is that how can an investor maybe benefit from that?
So how it looks from my perspective, and Dave definitely has some weigh in on this as well. And in 08, 09, that's when the crash happened. That's when people started to really see homes starting to go to foreclosure. So properties didn't really sell off for note investors until about probably 10 and 11 and 12, when they really got to be cheap. And at that period, that was great to have cash. Cash was king then, because you can go out and just gobble up non-performing loans. You can try and help out the borrowers, and then get these properties for literally pennies on the dollars. And so that was a great way to change your strategy in note investing. And fast forward to today, it's not as an attractive play to go after non-performing loans, because prices are just a lot different, because the market has changed so significantly. Now, there's still some great deals out there, but and the way we focus our business now is we go after a lot of performing loans right now. But definitely in that time period, it was like non-performing loans, go out there and get them and make that a part of your portfolio quickly.
Awesome, man. That's good. That's great insight. I appreciate that.
Well, I like, Justin is, and other note guys around town. I'm a non-performing guy, because I want to take the product and massage it and either make it performing again or turn it into a semi-quasi flip type property. And I still think you can buy the non-performings, and and there's several keys if you buy a non-performing that you can look at that will probably make a non-performing deal a really good deal. Where Justin's is performing, which are great, they give you nice yields in the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12% range, on the right note, where a non-performing done properly, can get you in the 21, 22, 23% yields. But they're a lot more risk. So you need to be a little more savvy investor before you approach that note, that realm of the note. But we were in an 07, 08, 09, where we liked the non-performings because of the purchase price.
Absolutely.
Okay. We're going to take a break here in a little bit, but before we do that, just we're touching on the market and stuff like that, and I do, Dave, just a little bit of advice that you could give to that person of just what to look out for, how can they prepare themselves?
I mean, when a downturn might be coming?
When it might be coming, or just what they can even do just to be ready for that.
Well, I think anything else you need to have, if you're a transactional type investor, which I am, meaning that I'm on one deal onto another deal, we can see the adjustments, and you just need to adjust properly. Like if we see foreclosures at the Marion County Sheriff's sale, we've got a 6-month lag. If we see in 6 months that there's going to be 250 properties on the sheriff's sale list, when last month there were 120. So we know that people are now 6 months behind in payments, and the market's going to change. So foreclosure delinquency is one of the bigger models that you can get. What's in 30-day, 60-day, 90-day delinquent? If all of a sudden you get a crust of these delinquencies coming in 6 or 7 months, and you can see a downturn is coming.
Yeah. Yep. So thank you so much, guys. And we're going to take a short break here in a little bit. When we come back, we're going to be talking about something that's kind of just been all over the news, especially here in Indianapolis and all over Facebook. We're going to be talking about Morris Invest, Ocean Point, and just kind of how that has affected many investors here in Indianapolis. But we have Dave, we have Justin, we have Stacy. I'm Brian. We'll be right back after this message.
Midwest Garage Door Systems, Real Talk's premium sponsor, is a locally and family-owned business, answering your garage door repair and replacement needs for over 30 years in central Indiana. Doing business the right way is what Midwest is all about. Check out MidwestGarageDoors.com or call 317-449-8440, 317-449-8440.
Are you looking for a new place for lunch or dinner, or a fun place to hold your next company party? Check out Trader's Mill Grill and Bar. Awesome, friendly staff, fabulous food made from scratch, full bar and daily drink specials. Make it an evening with more than 20 screens to get your favorite games, including Golden Tee. Also has 3 pool tables. You can find their menu and hours at tradermill.com. Check out Trader's Mill Grill and Bar, located at 5650 West 86th Street, Indianapolis, Indiana.
Do you have a house that you want to sell, but you don't want to fix it up before you sell it? Or you need the cash quickly? Or you just inherited Aunt Susie's house and don't know what to do with it? That's what Dave Short does. He buys houses so you can get on with your life. He pays cash, closes quickly, and buys in all central Indiana. For details, call Dave at 317-590-4499 or email Dave at bshort@c21sheets.com. That's spelled C21SCHEETZ.com.
And welcome back to the show. We have Dave Short with us, we have Justin Bogart, and we have Stacy Patlin with us. I'm Brian Snyder from Simple Wholesaling, and just thank you for joining us again today. And before the break, I just kind of mentioned that we wanted to get into just an article that there's been quite a few articles lately, just going around Facebook, on the Indy Star, and even on the news channels around here, just about a company. There's a couple different companies, just Morris Invest and Ocean Point, that basically what they did is their model was to provide turnkey properties, to investors here in Indianapolis, out of state, that wanted to invest here in Indianapolis. And basically there's some things that happened. Some people, they were successful in some cases. Other cases where maybe the homes were not kept up to the standard that they were promised. Maybe the investment property was not what the person actually thought they were buying. There were some rents that were not being collected, or some falsified just information and stuff going along with there. So there's a couple different articles. You can find it. You can read it yourself and everything. But really what I want to do is kind of get into not necessarily what they were doing or what they weren't doing. I don't want to talk about that. I want to stay positive on this, and I want to make sure that the investors out there know kind of what it means to buy a turnkey property, what they can do for the due diligence, and just what they can do to help themselves to be a successful investor. So when we're talking about a turnkey model, Dave, do you want to take this? Kind of what does that really mean? If somebody wants to buy a turnkey property, what should that mean, and what should they be looking for?
Well, a turnkey in the simplest form is that an investor, and we've done some turnkeys, an investor buys a house, let's use the number $30,000, and puts $15,000 in the house, and they have $45,000 invested in this house, and then they put a tenant in it at $800 or $700 a month. So now we have a rented property, and that turnkey guy will charge a fee for what they call a door being one house. So they might take that to $55,000 and sell it to an investor in an out-of-state market or a local guy for $55,000, and it's already rented, and it's now performing at a 10% cap rate based on the $55,000 purchase. And these investors pay the money, whether by mortgage, their retirement account, cash on hand, and now they own a property that they had to do no work for, with the exception of putting up the money, and they get the rent now on the property. The turnkey provider who found, bought, rehabbed, and rented the house is going to get is expected to get a profit, and they get a profit. And some turnkeys are $5,000 profits, some are 10, some are more. So what happened in this article that we have here is the proper repairs maybe wasn't made on the property. Maybe there wasn't any repairs. Maybe the proper repairs were made and the tenant went in and tore it up to destroy. A lot of things can go wrong with an improperly done turnkey.
Right.
But management's in place on a turnkey property, and they're just basically collecting rents for the new owner of the property. So, and there's several good turnkey providers in Indianapolis. There's a lot of them, and so that what happens with turnkey properties is like anything else, is due diligence. Mm-hmm. And there's as many ways as there's many houses to find out who a good turnkey provider is. And we would put out that, hey, any turnkeys we did to out-of-state investors, we would actually encourage them to fly in and look at their house. If you're spending as a turnkey investor, buyer, look at the property you're buying. Just don't do it by photos and locations, because when you see the location as an out-of-state investor, you're going to feel good, warm, and fuzzy with your turnkey. That's hardly ever done. Yeah. Most of it's done just, pictures look good, the rent's good, the inside of the house looks good, let's do it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you're spending a lot of money, and just be due diligent with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's why I know we have, we sell to a lot of out-of-state investors, and a lot of times, that maybe that first one or two transactions, they're like, oh yeah, I saw the pictures, I saw the video, I think it looks good, like, yeah, let's do the deal. I'm like, no, I want you to make sure, like, do you have a local contract that you can send through? Do you have some boots on the ground that you can send through and check it out, drive the neighborhood? Because I can tell you what I think of it too, but it's your purchase. I want you to be happy with it.
Define boots on the ground.
Yeah, boots on the ground could be anything. It could be a contractor, it could be an inspector, it can be. There's sometimes too, if we've done some stuff in where we've maybe just hired some college kids to go take pictures for us, you can actually. I'm sorry, I should know this, but there's like websites where you can actually just hire people to do a specific job of. It's basically kind of like an Uber, where you can actually hire them to just go to a property and take pictures for you, walk the grounds, and do all that kind of stuff. So I mean, boots on the ground can be just kind of a little bit of anything. But wherever you are investing, you should have some kind of, let's say, boots on the ground or a team that can go check out something for you, make sure it is what you think it is, what you want it to be, and make sure that you're happy with your investments. So, Stacy, why don't you talk a little bit about just due diligence from the wholesaler side, but also from the flipping side when you guys are looking to purchase a house?
So on the wholesaling side, our main thing that we do on due diligence is we definitely look at the property before we do any type of offers, and then also title search. We always make sure that our investors are getting a clear title, that the sellers are willing to clear it if there's anything on it. But when we do our main inspection and due diligence is to make sure, like, look at the foundation. Does it look like there's something wrong, or anything costly? So is there something wrong with the roof? What are the mechanicals looking like? Because those are things that can get real costly. You might think, I know David mentioned one time that he bought a house and said, this furnace looks good. And he had his HVAC guy go in there and he's like, it's 25 years old. You have no idea. So just make sure you're doing what you need to do to provide a good deal to the end investor. But on the flipping side, we take a look at our properties usually one, maybe even two times before we purchase, especially if we're not sure who the wholesaler is or if it's coming from an agent. But if you're an out-of-state investor, I would recommend find an agent that you work well with or that has good reviews. Kind of do a little background check on them, not a actual one, but call their colleagues. What kind of person are they? Let them look at the property. Let them go in there and be like, "Ooh, these floors are crooked. Your roof is falling in," because you can't always see that in a picture. It might look okay, but you don't know if those shingles are pulled off, and you don't know if that furnace is even hooked up. So that would be my advice.
So Justin, how about from your standpoint, as we're just talking about due diligence, let's just talk about that and like how you do that from the note side.
That's a little bit different. I'm not shopping in my backyard like my friends here in the room are, so to speak. But due diligence is due diligence. If you are an investor and you're, like David was explaining, if you're buying a turnkey operation, a turnkey investment, and this is your first time doing something like this, you absolutely should go out there and put your eyes on the property. You need to trust but verify, but especially on your first time, so you understand, what you're dealing with here. And after you get a few under your belt, obviously, you can have the vendors. I believe a We Go Look is somebody I've used before, a website called WeGoLook.com. I believe that's still their website. And so that's what I would encourage as well, just like Dave said and Stacy said. And so from my perspective, when I'm looking at deals, I'm looking at a lot of deals at the same time. They're not necessarily in the same area. So I have a disadvantage of trying to go to those places to put my eyes on the ground. So I'm really looking for my vendors to rely on them and putting boots on the ground. If I know local people there, local other note investors or family, to go drive by and give me some videos and give me some pictures as well. So due diligence is extremely important.
Yeah, and one of the things that kind of just stood out to me in the articles, and nothing against anybody in the articles, and nothing against the investors, but one of the things that kind of surprised me is that a lot of the investors that were interviewed or are having some issues and stuff, is that basically they were kind of like, oh well, they seem like nice guys. Like I thought that I felt like I could trust them. They have, they didn't really say anything about their background or their reputation or whatever happened. They just said, oh yeah, that seemed like they were doing it. And it was like a lot of people that were just maybe their first investment. And I think that's just where I just want to speak to people out there, if they're looking for that first, rental property or house to flip or anything, especially on your first one, make sure you know who you're working with. Sit down and have a cup of coffee with them, or, really, ask for the recommendations, or talk to people that have done business. Look at their Google reviews and, stuff like that. So
yeah, I mean, think of it as if you're loaning somebody money. Would you just loan somebody money without doing a background check on them? I mean, God, no. You have to treat it the same way. And some of these investors, for the first time, especially out of state, they just look at something and they see the numbers like, oh, that makes sense. Let me just dump money into it. Well, you have to be a little more cautious than that. Not everybody's like that, but there are some people that are too accepting of the deal, too trusting. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we all want somebody to know, like, and trust us, but you need to trust but verify.
Well, these people, a lot of the turnkey providers who are maybe not as good as other turnkey providers, they have a lot of capital that they bring to our market, and they feel really obligated to get it placed as soon as possible. And if you have an urgency to buy a house, then you're a lot less likely to get a good house.
Yeah.
Right.
So you have to take your time, and it's okay to say no to 2 or 3 houses if it's close. If it's close, it's probably a bad deal for your fund or whoever you're buying for. So you just have to be cautious, and that's just more and more of the due diligence. And we can't stress that enough here. Everyone at this group here has fielded calls from people who have got into bad transactions, and they might not have been bad transactions. It could be the person that bought it didn't do. We had one guy call, and he was just raising heck about the provider he had, and the more we talked to him, and it says, okay, so you're telling me you pulled the management from him and you didn't manage it, so it becomes his bad, your bad deal because you took away the stability of your transaction when you pulled the management away because you thought you could manage it from Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. Well, trust me, you can hardly manage it from Los Angeles.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and as we're sitting around here talking and stuff like that, it's due diligence is so huge, and we just can't preach it enough, just like Dave was saying. And we've also been through it where we've all bought bad deals too. I mean, we've been through it. It's going to happen. It's kind of like taking those lumps with it and stuff. But we want to get into this a little bit more, just kind of talking about what you can expect if you're looking for, kind of that turnkey provider, just due diligence in general. We'll dig into this a little bit more in the next section of the show. So thank you for tuning in.
Are you looking for a career change or a life change? That is the mission behind Simple Wholesaling, the leading provider of discounted properties in Indianapolis. Simple Wholesaling is all about making the process simple for buyers of properties, sellers of properties, and members of the Central Indiana community who want to generate wealth, free up time, and then help you use that wealth and freedom to make a difference in the world. Check them out at www.simplewholesaling.com or email Brian@simplewholesaling.com or call 317-494-7211.
Is this you? You've heard about landlording and you love the idea of a steady stream of income from real estate, but you're concerned about tackling the 2 a.m. calls and worrying about renters who don't pay their rent on time? That's where the pros at Ethosity Property Management take the hassle out of investing for you. They handle the toilets and tenants for over 300 local rentals and are happy to help you with yours. Call Sterling at 888-212-3764 or check out www.ethosity.com www.ethosity, that's ETHOSITYPM.com.
Are you wanting to get started in investing but don't know what to do first? Maybe you took one of the National Guru classes, but you're still confused. Our members are doing business locally, and they remember that they were beginners at one time too. Start by joining the biggest and oldest real estate investment club in Central Indiana. Take our classes and network with people who love what they do and are willing to help you through the startup stage. Check out CIREIA.org. That's CIREIA.org.
And welcome back. So we have Dave with us today, and Justin, Stacy, and I am Brian. And we left the last section. We were kind of just talking about a turnkey provider that's maybe just getting some bad publicity here lately, just because they kind of maybe weren't doing things the way their investors kind of thought. So we've just really been digging into just due diligence and what you can really do as an investor, and what we can do from people that are also selling properties to some of these investors and stuff. So just looking at that, and we just want to kind of talk about that a little bit more. And Stacey, I kind of want to talk to you maybe just about the numbers and things. And I kind of in my head I have a deal that you and I talked about a couple months ago of Stacey was looking at one of our properties, and it's a good, perfect property to flip, really good as far as the property, but when she went out and looked at it, she's like, hey, what's going on with this neighbor over here? And kind of it wasn't, so kind of that inside, if you were looking at it on paper, it looked like a great place to flip and get into. But when you actually went out and walked it and looked at it, saw what was going on in the neighborhood, it's a little bit different story. So I couldn't get her to buy it. I don't know what happened there. But no, but that's so important. But Stacey, why don't you kind of talk about that of just, how important that is, or even just, what those numbers are that maybe you want to look at as well.
Absolutely. If I could have tore that neighbor's house down, I probably would have bought it. But it's one of those things that you see things on paper, but you never know what's next door. And if you're looking to home own it and sell it to a homeowner, they're not going to want a nasty vacant house next door, or they're not going to want, that tire collector next door too. So those things kind of weigh into your sales price and selling of a property. But touching on the numbers is, if you get a deal that comes across your email or you see it online, and they're saying the ARV is this, your rehab is this, and purchase price is this, always verify the rehab numbers. Not because some people don't know what they're doing, but some people may see a rehab differently. Some people do more high-end things. Also, some people care about different things more. Like, we waterproof all of our basements. Courtney Wheeler's my life partner and business partner, and he waterproofs everything. Just because a dry basement, everybody's going to want one. And it's a great selling feature because you took that time and that money to make sure that foundation is going to be in good condition when they go to sell in 10 years when they're trying to upgrade. So I always say, talk to an agent, find out what the real number is on that house, because some neighborhoods are street by street. You could be like in Fountain Square. If you're west of state, you're good. If you're east of state, your numbers go down a little bit. So you have to know those boundaries, and you have to know what you're going to be putting into it, so you don't go over budget and then get stuck with a house that can't sell or you're not going to make anything on.
I call West of State fake Fountain Square.
Fake Fountain Square?
Fake Fountain Square.
It's still there. The numbers
it's still
are still
there.
there.
It's still good. It's better. But yeah, I agree with Stacy. I see a lot of wholesaler numbers, and they're not necessarily trying to misrepresent to you. Some just don't know, and others know. Where, we may, for instance, $1,200 is a nice landscaping number, but they don't know in our flips that we're going to sod the front and the backyard. We're going to add flowers. We're going to add flower boxes. We're going to do mulch around. So they don't know that my number to do that house might be $2,500 because of the degree of flip that we do. But some of them just don't know. So you you should never rely on those kind of numbers to make your decision on whether it's a flip or a wholesale or a buy and hold.
Right.
So if you buy and hold a property, it might take $15,000 to rehab the house, but if you're going to flip it, it could be $25,000 to $30,000 to.
Yeah, that's what I see from a lot of, I
Yeah.
deal with a lot of wholesalers, and we buy a lot of deals from other wholesalers, but a lot of times I'll see their rehab costs. I'm like, well, is this a rehab for a buy and hold or for a flip? I'm like, oh, I don't know. What's the difference? It's a pretty big difference if you're looking at that or trying to market and stuff. So that's great education. A lot of this education is stuff that you can find out from CIREIA too. If you're going to the monthly meetings or any of the subgroups, it's just a really good time to be able to talk to people that are doing this each and every day, that have the experience to help you out in this aspect, no matter what that may be. But
Yeah, these are all great points from experts here locally that doing this real estate. And when I do notes, it's very similar to that. I first run the numbers first, and I look at them and I verify and be like, oh, that looks good. And then you actually look at the property, look at pictures of the property looks like today, and you're like, yeah, that's not a good deal. It doesn't make sense for me. So, yeah, absolutely, double check your numbers. Don't just trust from other hedge funds and banks and people that I buy notes from. They list the as-is value of the house, and it's like, come on, you're way off. But that's when you dive in deep and you really trust, your vendors, or going out there yourself and running the numbers.
Yeah, I would also say if you get a deal that comes through your email, and maybe it's close to being a good deal, but maybe it's not, and you notice it's maybe a new wholesaler, don't be afraid to reach out to them and be like, hey, I would think that a good purchase price on this is this, and this is why. Because some wholesalers, they read a course and they kind of get the markdown, but they don't see it from the end investor side. So I think I like to mentor, I guess, or kind of give my opinion to help somebody out instead of them doing unsuccessful wholesaling. Because if you have a wholesaler that's getting deals under contract and they're too high and they're sending them out and then they're not being able to sell them, and then it kind of gives other wholesalers a bad rap. So help out your fellow wholesalers. Education.
Education's everything.
Yeah, educational based selling. It's the best thing you can do, and it helps everybody in the community.
I'm pretty experienced, but I still go to a lot of meetups in a week or in a month, and just to see what's out there, who's out there, how they're making decisions, and seeing people that do, that are light years ahead of me in certain areas that I'd like to have interest in. Mm-hmm. There's wholesalers out there just light years ahead. Brian's company is light years ahead of most of the wholesalers in the city. I'd say all the wholesalers in the city.
Thanks, Dave.
Second
Thanks,
that.
Dave. Thanks, Dave.
So, no, I do. I mean,
Not showing anybody in the group.
let's kind of talk about that too. I know that kind of as we're talking about the numbers and doing that due diligence, I think there's also something said for, I see a lot of people where they kind of have that analysis paralysis, where they get too much into the numbers and then they don't end up kind of doing it. So there is kind of a little bit of it's a fine line of, all right, you just need to go ahead and do it and get it done to get that first deal under your belt. But it's like, still be cautious, still be careful of that. So that's tricky as well. I know Indianapolis is kind of just one of those cities, and as I've just dig into it more and more, it's just, especially speaking to out-of-state investors, it kind of plays to that a little bit of where they might look at a map and see, kind of an area and be like, oh, that looks like a war zone. It's all in the red on this map that I look at for, crime and stuff. But I know I can go over there, if you drive a couple of streets, that they're great places to invest. Or kind of the opposite of kind of what Stacy was saying. If you hear a certain, area of like, hey, this is a hot area, like, yep, I'm going to invest there no matter what it is. But there's some bad pockets in that area as well.
There's fine lines.
Yep. Well, networking's so important in our business, and just to go back to Stacy, because she give me a really nasty look. But I love working with smaller wholesalers that don't do 400 transactions a year. I like doing with the big guys too, but the smaller wholesalers you don't need to react maybe quite as quick, because they haven't reacted as quick. They've done their due diligence, so maybe they don't bring you 5 a month, but the 2 they bring you are really good. Right. So you get to look at those.
Yeah.
And that's what's really good about looking at smaller, working with a company that's not doing big numbers.
Yeah, so we have a little bit of time left in this section. I maybe just want to talk about, as we're talking about due diligence, and we are all working with people, whether we're helping coach them, just helping them find deals or whatever it is. But what are some things that maybe you guys are doing to kind of help your investors out with that due diligence period? So, Stacy, you want to just kind of start with that, of whether wholesalers or flippers, just what are you doing to help your people out?
So on the wholesale side, we definitely take good pictures, good videos. And we do have, if we have a concern, if we're working with a seller and we think there's a concern with something, we'll bring out an expert. We'll bring out a foundation guy, or we'll bring out a roofer and see what's going on. Is it going to need new decking, or is it just going to need a new roof? Is it going to need, wall anchors, or does it just need, some tuck pointing? So we like to make sure that everything is in good standing. Courtney, he is a major number guy. He will rack his brain all night to make sure that he's getting the best deal for his end investors. So, I'm gonna
just jump in here real quick, because this is one of those due diligence things that I always like listen to and look for as well. Is okay. So Stacy just used the terminology, decking, and that she's using terminology, not just like the roof's in good shape.
Yeah,
like that's what you get for people. So
there's some shingles on there,
right?
Yeah, there's a couple shingles. The wood's been exposed for 2 years, so no need to worry about it. But on our flipping side, we do use investors on our flips, and so when we do that, we give them our package. We showed them homes we've done. We've shown them what we even give them lockbox codes. Go look at the ones we're doing. We like to make them feel comfortable. We like to show the work that we do, because we take major pride in our flips. We don't like to cut corners. We want to make sure everything is right. And when that homeowner gets into that home, they're not going to have to do anything for a while. 10 years maintenance free, that's a great home, and we value that. So that's a good thing to live by.
It's awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Dave, do you want to add on to that, just as you kind of that due diligence period that you're coaching people on when they're looking for flips?
Well, it's like Stacy said. It's warm and fuzzy. We tend to meet one-on-one. We show them pictures of our product. We give them addresses if they want to go in and look. Sometimes due diligence is them looking without you around. Mm-hmm. And they can talk to our subs and ask him the proper questions of, hey, does Dave pay on time? Does he do this? You like working for him? And we know what kind of response that they're going to get.
Absolutely.
And that makes all the difference. Stacy's right about Courtney. I mean, he looks at all the little, he's better than, I know a lot, but he's better than I am at looking at all the little details. And it makes a huge difference in our flips. They might cost 5 or 6% more to complete, but they'll probably bring 5%. I mean, we can recover the 5% just in the inspection response.
Right. Mm-hmm. Justin, you have anything to add as far as the due diligence and those little tips? Just one more to finish us off.
Yeah. So from my side of things, just a little bit different. But yeah, when we're working with people that are first time getting into notes or first time investing in this sort of category, is that we really put emphasis on, I'm going to put things in front of you as if I was going to buy it and tell you what I think about it, but this is no way, shape, or form going to, you need to decide if this fits you and fits your model and fits your cash flow perspective. And I'll give you the vendors and stuff that we use to look at these things, and let's put all the emphasis back on them and say, look, this is how I see it, this is how I view it. And if you want some help with have some questions, ask me, but I'll also, verify with some other people that deal with notes and ask them some questions too. So it's a little bit different in my category, but yeah, there's still ways for people to trust but verify.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. So we got one more section left, guys. So tune back in, and we'll be right back after this message, and we'll give you our contact information and just our tip of the week.
Insurance companies say they're going to be there for you when life happens, but the truth is things can get pretty complicated fast when it comes to a personal injury accident. The steps you take after an unexpected crash are crucial. You need help every step of the way. Hey Andy, this is Dave Ramsey. I've been talking about the Randy 7-ish difference for several years now. For 34 years, Randy has helped thousands of people through their worst circumstances. Randy stands as a shield in between you and the insurance company. So even if you've started conversations with the insurance company after an injury accident, talk to Randy 7-ish to make sure you're not leaving money on the table. If you or someone you know has an injury accident, whether you're a pedestrian, passenger, driver, or rider, talk to Randy 7-ish first. Call 317-636-7777 for a no-obligation consultation. 7-ish Law, fierce protectors of the injured. 317-636-7777 or 7ishlaw.com.
Midwest Garage Door Systems, Real Talk's premium sponsor, is a locally and family-owned business, answering your garage door repair and replacement needs for over 30 years in Central Indiana. Doing business the right way is what Midwest is all about. Check out MidwestGarageDoors.com or call 317-449-8440, 317-449-8440.
All right, and we are back with Real Talk Radio, and I just want to thank you so much for joining us today, and I also want to thank our guests. We have Dave and Stacy and Justin, and I want to give this opportunity to them. We're going to go around the room. I want them to give us their contact information if you want to reach out to them, and then just a tip of the week as well. Dave, let's start off with you.
I'm Dave Short. I'm with Century 21 Sheets. My best way to contact me is my email, which is dshort@c21sheets, SCHEETZ.com. And my tip of the week is your due diligence should include people that are in that field that you're looking for the information. My blood count's low. I'm not calling Brian to get an opinion on that. But if I'm talking about a house I'm looking to buy as a wholesale, Brian will give you, even though he may not be involved, he'll give you a clean shot on that house and tell you what he thinks. He said, yeah, we're probably a buyer for that house. So do your due diligence, and, if you get in flipping advice, don't call a flipper that's never flipped a house.
That's good advice there.
Great advice.
But it's amazing how much is that kind of stuff's done.
Yeah. So, Justin, how about you?
Yeah, so I'm Justin Bogard. Best way to contact me is my email address as well as Dave. It's not Dave's email, it's mine. Justin@brightpathnotes.com. That's BRIGHTPATHNOTES.com. Justin@brightpathnotes.com. And so my tip of the week kind of falls along the same lines as Dave's. I would say you need to have a mentor in place. You need to have someone that coaches you, especially your first time investing. As you're doing this due diligence, they need to review this stuff with you and go over and pick it apart to make sure that you understand what you need to look for. And so I'd say a mentor is very, very crucial. I have quite a few mentors in the note space, so I'm pretty fortunate. But I'd definitely say get somebody that's been in the business for a while.
Justin, tell them about your meetup.
Oh, yeah. So, so part of being a mentor, I have this educational meetup that I do. It's once a month, and it's the second Tuesday at around 2 o'clock at George's Neighborhood Grill here locally in Indianapolis. And we kind of showcase, the whole idea behind it is for me to introduce the note space to people that have no idea of what the note space is. We show deals that we do. We show case studies. We bring in other vendor experts to help you with foreclosures or buying deals or doing due diligence and things like that. So we make it pretty entertaining. It's totally free. It's just educational to get the market to understand to use notes as a way of building your real estate empire.
I heard your April guest is going to be really good too.
Oh yeah, he's a good-looking guy too.
Sorry, I can't make that.
So awesome, Stacy. How about you?
My name's Stacy Patlin. The best way to contact me is I have two contacts. So my cell phone is 765-969-6066. I'm pretty tech savvy, so texting, calling, no problem there. Also, my email is wheelergroupllc@outlook.com. And my tip of the week would be using your network. Definitely use your meetups. Use CIREIA. Even if you're from out of town, find your local RIA. Call them and see who's involved. You'll see them on their website. Give them a call. Hey, what's your opinion on this? And we're pretty much happy to give it to you. There's no strings attached to that. But I'd also like to throw in there, I'm co-hosting WIRE, which is Women in Real Estate. It's the second Thursday of every month. We will be holding that at 3 Wiseman Brewery in Broad Ripple. So we just brought it back last month. We had about 35 to 40 women there. It was great. We had some great networking, and we've got some really cool people lined up to speak. So hope to see a lot of y'all there.
That's awesome. What kind of topics do you guys cover?
So I know that we're going to be covering a self-defense. So we're looking into finding a place that'll teach women some self-defense, especially wholesalers and flippers who are looking at these houses alone. So if anybody knows of somebody who has a space that could teach us some self-defense moves, definitely reach out to me. My co-host is Wendy Roser, so you could reach out to her too. We also talk about, financing. How do you guys get financing? And we follow a lot of the topics that CIREIA does at their main meetings, just so that if they didn't have a chance to ask that question, it's a smaller setting, and you can get a more detailed answer from your co-environment.
There you go. Very nice, very nice. Thank you so much. And I know, Justin plugged his meetup. Stacey's plugged hers. We have a meetup as well. Dave, I'm going to give you an opportunity. I know you have one of the most popular meetups here in town, so you want to talk about it real quick?
Yeah, we have a meetup. It's called Dinner and Deals with Dave, and it's between 6 and 7:30. Third Thursday of every month. So, and it's at 4929 East 96, and we basically spend an hour and a half going over different stages of houses that we are flipping, and you get to see the good and the bad and the progress, and at the end when we sell it, you get to see what kind of profit or rate of return we made on the houses. So it's pretty comprehensive, and it's ongoing with kind of the same kind of format.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's just so many great subgroups as part of CIREIA. I know our subgroup, it's the fourth Wednesday of the month, the Simple Wholesaling podcast, or the Simple Wholesaling meetup. Just hope we could just call it Wholesaling Made Simple. Try to take a different facet of wholesaling, teach it. We just did it last night, or just this past week. We had about 60 people there, so it's fantastic. So look into CIREIA, look at all the subgroups they have. There's one for Airbnb, for just buy and hold investors. There's just about everything that you can get into. We just started one for multifamily investing as well. So definitely check that out. Just a great resource. Again, my name is Brian Snyder. I'm the Director of Operations for Simple Wholesaling. You can reach out to me at brian@simplewholesaling.com. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Love to talk to you. Love to help you out in any way I can. If you have missed any previous episodes, you can listen to them at CIREIA on the CIREIA channel on YouTube, or go to CIREIA.club, which is CIREIA.club, and click on the resources tab and copies of all of our episodes. On April 4th, CIREIA will be hosting our monthly main meeting at Broadmoor Country Club. We will have a panel of local investors that use creative financing, and they'll be sharing some of the tips and tricks that they'll be doing that make them successful legally and profitable. Justin, actually, you're going to be on that panel, right?
I am. I'll be rushing back from spring break to make sure I make our executive director happy.
So awesome. So we're going to be talking about notes, land contracts, subject twos. So check out that main meeting definitely. So the main meetings are open to the public, and you can register at CIREIA.club. Thank you for listening today, and have a wonderful week, and hope that you join us again next weekend at noon on Saturday and Sunday. Thank you.